Hi, I'm Stephen Muir. I'm the one in the green shirt in the photo there. The idea for this fossil fuel free coast to coast began in 2013. We were towing our kayaks 20 kilometres from Christchurch centre out to McLean's Island, paddling 12k down the river to the motorway bridge. And while we were floating down the river, I mentioned the idea of, wouldn't it be great to do the coast to coast like this, towing our kayaks by bike up through Arthur's Pass, and well, everyone, including myself, just sort of laughed at the concept. It seemed way too hard to take seriously. In 2014 I began to make kayak trolleys with a long rigid tow bar connecting the kayak trolley to the bike, and suddenly the towing became way easier. So we biked up over Dyer's Pass around Quail Island. It did actually take a month or two before I could find anyone willing to try it with me, so two of us managed it, and proved to me that towing kayaks up and down steep hills with sharp hairpins was relatively safe and an enjoyable experience. The motivation for doing this trip, other than to have some fun, was to try and encourage people to reduce their carbon emissions and hence reduce the impacts of climate change.
Day one on our fossil fuel free coast to coast, an easy afternoon from Christchurch to Springfield, but it turned out to be anything but. For Ollie and Ting, a puncture early on, so we finally left about 3 p.m. The dominant feature of that day was certainly the old West Coast Road, slightly uphill into a gusty northwest wind and 30 degrees. I finally arrived at Springfield at 7:45 and had a meal at the hotel, and then went round to Tom's place, and it was very nice to have a shower there and to relax in the garden drinking his homemade brew and elderflower cordial.
It was a very gusty night. The northwest was howling around the shed and the tent that we were sleeping in, and was not feeling very good about the bike ride the next day. So I had a discussion in the morning about whether we really wanted to subject ourselves to intense gale forced headwinds all the way through Arthur's Pass. But we were a stoic bunch. We decided to keep going and be optimistic about the potential weather, and it paid off.
We actually made it up Porter's Pass without too much grief. It wasn't as bad as what we thought it would be, and the downhills made it all worthwhile. Lakeland and Cave Stream, we popped in to the Haze for a bite to eat at Castle Hill Village. Brief stop at Lake Pearson, lovely scenery, and Beely Spur in the distance was a very welcome sight. Washes and a quick dip in the creek before we headed off to Beely Hotel.
While the actual event of the coast to coast does burn up a fair bit of carbon, I think the real impact of carbon emissions is all the training sessions that those people are likely to be doing every week, maybe 2 or 3 times a week. They'll be driving down to the waterway with their kayak loaded on the roof of their car for months on end. If you add up all of those journeys that the thousands of people are doing every week, I think that's where the real carbon savings can be made. And the big advantage of switching to a bike to do those training journeys is that you get some biking training in as well as your kayaking training. So it is a win-win situation.
Day 3 in steady drizzle. Ollie, Emily and Meg attempted the Minga Deception. River crossings were okay to start with, but with ongoing and heavier rain, it became obvious when we got to a thigh-high deep side stream that we weren't going to make it even to Goat Pass. We turned back, so all up 20k tramping, and then around about 20k jog walking all the way to Aotearoa. The highlight of the run was certainly coming down the viaduct in sleety, horizontal, strong drizzle.
While we were going over Arthur's Pass, we stopped in at the ranger station to check the weather forecast. That was pretty depressing. The possible heavy rain had changed to a severe weather warning with at least 300 millimetres of rain expected, possibly up to 400, which is torrential, and gale force northwest winds. So biking to the Kumara beach in those sort of conditions would be horrific. The Deception Valley would be flooded, we wouldn't be able to walk up there, and the Waimakariri was likely to be pretty flooded as well, so we wouldn't be able to do the kayak section. So at that stage we decided to cancel the whole trip. We thought that's just getting too extreme, we'll just have to pull the plug.
Day 4, we were expecting heavy rain, but it wasn't too bad in the morning, so we decided to try biking to Kamara anyway. Set off with parkas and leggings on and a whole lot of gear, but down the road a bit, and suddenly it was a nice fine day, a bit cloudy, a bit sunny, and it turned out to be a perfect day. And these keriru flying around, and tui and weka. Suddenly we're at Kamara, feeling really good and quite pleased with ourselves. Then on down to the beach, to the start of the coast to coast, and photos at the memorial. On back again, paused at Kamara for a coffee, and 3 local kids went for rides on the back of the tandem. Then it was all the way back to Otira again. Surprised at how much downhill there was. It wasn't a bad trip back, but by the time we got back I knew we'd done 130k for the day.
Right, how did you find the grunt up the Otira there, Alistair?
Oh, not too bad. I probably had the easiest time of everyone because we had a mountain bike with a very low gear and disc brakes, which was all good.
Yep, no problems.
Yeah.
Very good.
I wasn't carrying very much weight with me. That was good.
And you were on the tandem by yourself, Emily. How was that experience?
Well, it was actually remarkably fine. I mean, I was glad that I moved my clips, my pedals to the front so that I had that extra traction.
Yeah, the old clip-ins.
Yeah,
Pretty useful.
But yeah, the low gear, it wasn't playing around for the first bit. I had a couple of little skips right at the top, but yeah, and I also could have almost done with a little bit more weight in the panniers because it was sliding around the back wheel a bit.
Right. So you're skidding a bit. So you biked the whole way up?
Biked the whole way up? Yeah, no. I was surprised, but there was no bit where I even thought about like getting off and pushing. So it was great.
Yep. Yes, well, Ting and I did a fair bit of walking in there, but that was fine. We followed on up and enjoyed the view. Too short a hill. You needed a bit longer. Didn't even warm up properly.
I love hill.
No. And there's some beautiful downhill coming into Arthur's Pass. That was just
Yeah, it was very enjoyable, wasn't it? There you go, Dave. Tell us about the Otira.
We at least ran from Otira. Well, we ran and walked anyway from Otira over here to Arthur's Pass, and it was pretty scenic, and it kept getting better. Didn't rain too much. We followed the walkway down through the bush, and that was very nice. But the legs certainly noticed the uphills.
Right, that 120 odd K yesterday took all the grunt out of them.
Stuffed the legs a bit.
Yeah, well, not too far to go. So you're going to hop on tandem from here, are
I
you?
think that'd be a great idea. It's another 16k from here.
Yeah, it's a long run, but not too hard for biking.
Don't think the legs want to do the run.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
I'll be glad to have you back, Dave.
Oh, will I? Thanks.
I have to go and shut the clips onto the back again. My pedals?
Oh yes, I put the clicks on the back.
I need to swap.
So day 6 was a real slog for Meg and Ting. It was steady headwind and overall quite a lot of uphill, pushing heavy tandems loaded up with most of the gear. The weather was really against us. We were wet, we were tired, we were hungry.
Oh, well done. Well done.
No, this is a video, so maybe you should say something.
Video, right. Okay, well that was a bit of an experience. Yeah, in hindsight, I don't know, do you reckon we should have done it, Ollie?
I think that was a wee bit rash, actually.
Yeah, a wee bit rash, yeah, probably bit off a wee bit more than we could chew there, but we're here, we're all here.
I'm from the Health and Safety Committee, and I hereby forbid you to ever go down again.
In a southeasterly with rain and cold wind. Yeah, the wind up there was pretty bitter.
Oh.
But it kept moving and kept warm enough. Yeah, the swim didn't help, but yeah, we got there. Yeah, the scenery is certainly very nice.
It was too hot, so I went for a swim just at the end. Yeah. Then I thought I'd paddle upside down to the finish line, but
You're going to test your
yeah, Steve said there was a pretty nasty bluff right at the end, and he was right. So I'm glad I did that the right way up.